locally. And on a late Friday afternoon, one day, a gentleman knocked the door of the charity, or rang the bell, and came in huge distress. He felt life wasn't worth living. He'd been a businessman who lost his business. His family had disintegrated because of that, and he'd taken to drinking. He had in the past had private psychiatric treatment, but he'd rung and tried to get an appointment, and there wasn't an emergency appointment that day. And as he walked from the pub past the charity, he saw a notice that said, "Are you isolated? Are you alone? Are you in distress? Free advice." And this particular charity didn't worry about referral or background. They listened to the person. And I listened for perhaps 3/4 of an hour to a very distressing set of life events that could have happened to anyone in this room. And while I was listening, I was taking careful note. I'm a nurse by background, so I was always a bit frightened that he might hurt himself, but I was taking careful note of his strengths. What had happened in his life before this event? What were the skills and achievements that he had had? So being careful not to undermine his distress, we took out a paper and we looked at what was going on now and what was getting in the way of the gentleman that he and I both recognised when he was reminded of that person before, all the losses. And he came up with, well, I need to go to AA because drinking isn't helping me. It's also a barrier to having an emergency appointment. The local mental health team don't see drunks, and certainly not on a Friday afternoon. And so you see how labels can get in the way. Anyway, we came up with a list of strengths that he'd forgotten he had. We agreed that we would keep in telephone contact. I'm not sure if that was his need or mine at the time, because of his safety. It probably was a bit of both. And I saw him on 3 occasions at the charity over the following fortnight, and then I gave him 3 other opportunities to measure his success and to rejoice in it. He won the battle. He found his inner strength. He wasn't labelled. He wasn't assessed to death. He didn't have any waiting list. His inner strength and those resources within our community supported him with a tiny thread until he got on his feet again. And in 6 weeks, he was back in control of his life, and he went on to rebuild a partnership with his brother in a business. And he wrote to me, he wrote to the charity and said, "Thank you for listening to me." And what I want to illustrate for you is that within all of us there are enormous resources and strengths that we lose sight of when we fall into some of the pitfalls that is life. And if we could turn the system into listening to that and supporting that, we'd save the precious resources that are needed for more complex illness, whether it's physical or mental. And I want to say thank you to the gentleman for giving me the opportunity of illustrating that for you.
Thanks very much, Alan.